My cheating wife threatened to take everything if I divorced her. She promised I'd pay alimony and child support while she kept the house and our kids. She was laughing with her lover, convinced I was powerless. Then she discovered I'd already prepared for everything. Hello, Reddit. I plus here. My wife looked me straight in the eyes and said something I never thought I'd hear from the woman I'd spent 11 years building a life with. If you divorce me, you're going to regret it. I'll take the house, the kids, and your money. You'll pay child support, you'll pay me alimony, and I'll make sure you barely see your children. Meanwhile, I'll be free to live my life. She said it casually, almost like she was discussing what we should have for dinner. We were standing in our kitchen. She had a glass of red wine in one hand and her phone in the other. I was 39. She was 37. We had 2 children, a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. We owned a house together, had savings, retirement accounts, 2 cars, and what I thought was a stable marriage. Apparently, I was the only one who thought so. My wife had been cheating on me with a man from her workplace. And somehow, in her mind, I was supposed to accept the affair, keep paying the bills, raise our children, and quietly finance the life she wanted with another man. I asked her, "You really think I'm going to support you and your boyfriend?" She laughed. Not an uncomfortable laugh, not a nervous laugh, a confident laugh. "You don't have a choice," she said. That sentence changed everything. I didn't yell. I didn't throw her wine glass. I didn't threaten her or call the other man. I simply looked at her and said, "You're probably right." She smiled. Then I added, "So I'll start preparing for the divorce." Her smile disappeared for half a second, then she shrugged. "Go ahead." What she didn't know was that I'd already spoken to a divorce attorney, and I wasn't planning to fight this battle emotionally. I was going to fight it intelligently. 3 days earlier, after discovering enough evidence to know the affair was real, I'd met with an attorney named Rebecca Shaw. She had been practicing family law for nearly 20 years, and the first thing she told me was something I'll never forget. Stop arguing with your wife. Stop threatening her. Stop trying to catch her yourself. From this moment forward, assume everything you say could eventually be read by a judge. So that's exactly what I did. For the next several weeks, I became strangely calm. My wife thought she'd won. I made her coffee in the morning. I took the kids to school. I went to work. I paid the mortgage. I cooked dinner. I asked how her day was. I didn't mention the affair. I didn't ask where she had been. I didn't confront the other man. I simply documented everything and followed my attorney's instructions. I gathered our financial records, bank statements, mortgage documents, tax returns, retirement accounts, credit card statements, insurance records, school expenses, everything. And then there was the affair. I didn't illegally hack her phone or break into her accounts. I didn't need to. She was careless, very careless. She had been telling friends about the relationship. She had been sending messages that she'd apparently forgotten could be backed up. She had hotel receipts on a shared account. There were photographs she'd sent to the other man that somehow ended up synchronized onto a family tablet. And then there was the money. She had been using our joint credit card for dinners, hotel rooms, weekend trips, and expensive gifts. The man she was seeing wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was apparently enjoying the benefits of my credit card. That part made me furious, but I stayed quiet. Then my wife made, "I'm going to fight for primary custody." That got my attention. I asked her why. She said, "Because I'm their mother." That was it. I finally realized this wasn't about saving our marriage anymore. It was about protecting my relationship with my children. I called my attorney the next morning. She told me not to react emotionally, so I didn't. A few days later, my wife received divorce papers. She called me immediately. "What did you do?" "I'm filing for divorce." "You actually did it?" "Yes." There was silence. Then she started laughing. "You really think this is going to work?" I said nothing. She continued. "Do you remember what I told you? You're going to pay." "I remember." "You'll regret this." "I probably will regret a lot of things." She hung up. Then the phone started exploding with messages. Her mother called, her sister called, 2 of her friends called. Everyone had something to say. Apparently my wife had already told them I was a controlling husband who had suddenly decided to abandon his family. Nobody knew about the affair, at least not yet. My attorney advised me not to make a public accusation, so I didn't. The first court hearing was scheduled several weeks later. My wife arrived with an expensive attorney. She walked into the courtroom looking confident. I could tell she expected me to look nervous. Instead, I sat quietly beside my attorney. During the hearing, her attorney requested temporary financial support, primary custody, exclusive use of the house, and several other expenses. My attorney asked the judge for time to present financial documentation. Then she handed over the records we'd prepared. The judge looked through them. My wife's attorney suddenly became much quieter. Then came the credit card statements, hotel charges, restaurant bills, weekend expenses, gifts, and transfers from our joint account. My wife leaned toward her attorney and whispered something. Her attorney whispered back. My wife looked at me. For the first time since this nightmare began, she looked genuinely scared. But I still hadn't shown everything. The strongest evidence was the evidence concerning the children. My wife had repeatedly claimed that I was never available because I worked too much. What she conveniently left out was that I worked overtime because she had stopped contributing financially and was spending our money elsewhere. I had school records, medical appointment records, activity schedules, emails from teachers, receipts showing I handled most of the children's daily expenses. None of it was dramatic. That was the point. It was simply documentation. Facts, dates, receipts, proof. The judge didn't need to hear me say, "I'm a good father." The paperwork showed it. Then my attorney addressed the affair. She didn't make some dramatic speech. She simply presented the evidence that had been legally obtained and requested that the court consider the financial misconduct when evaluating the temporary financial requests. My wife's face changed completely. After the hearing, she cornered me in the parking lot. "You planned all of this." I looked at her. "No, you did." She stared at me. "You made me look like a monster." "I didn't have to make you look like anything." She started crying. Then she said something I never expected. "I never thought you'd actually leave." That sentence broke something inside me, not because I wanted her back, because I realized she'd never been afraid of losing me. She'd only been afraid of losing what I provided: the house, the money, the security, the lifestyle, the person who paid the bills. But not me. The divorce eventually settled, and I didn't get everything. She didn't get everything. There was no magical courtroom victory where I walked away with the house, the money, and some giant check. Real life doesn't work that way. We divided our assets according to the law. We established a parenting schedule. Child support was calculated according to our actual circumstances, and the request for the massive financial support she'd confidently threatened me with didn't turn out the way she'd imagined. Her affair also became impossible to hide from the people closest to her. The man she'd been seeing suddenly became much less enthusiastic once he realized she was actually getting divorced and wasn't simply going to have a secret relationship on the side. Eventually, he disappeared from her life. She tried to contact me several times afterward. At first it was angry messages, then apologies, then nostalgia. Then, strangely enough, requests for favors. I stopped responding unless it concerned the children. Months later, I was sitting in my new apartment after putting the kids to bed. For the first time in more than a decade, the place was quiet. I looked around. It wasn't the house I'd spent years paying for. It wasn't the life I'd imagined. But it was peaceful. And I realized something. My wife had spent weeks telling me that divorce would leave me with nothing. She was wrong. I lost a marriage. I lost the future I thought I was going to have. I lost the woman I thought I knew. But I didn't lose my children. I didn't lose my dignity. And most importantly, I didn't allow myself to become the man she had convinced herself I would be. The man who would keep paying for a life he wasn't part of. Looking back, the biggest mistake I made wasn't staying married for 11 years. It was believing that the person standing beside me wanted the same life I did. So, Reddit I+ audience, I have a question. Was I wrong for staying completely calm and quietly preparing for divorce instead of confronting her immediately? Part of me still feels guilty that I didn't fight harder to save the marriage. Another part of me thinks the marriage ended the moment she decided I was supposed to finance her affair. What would you have done in my position?